Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, after a loving relationship, marriage, and shared life, OP discovers his wife's infidelity with a neighbor while on a business trip. Instead of confronting her immediately, he orchestrates a public humiliation during a neighborhood barbecue by revealing explicit videos of their affair. He swiftly divorces her, feeling a mix of rage and heartbreak. Despite moving on, he remains distrustful of women, harboring bitterness toward his ex-wife. Now let's get into the story. After being friends for almost a year, I figured my wife was the woman I wanted to get to know better and possibly spend the rest of my life with her. So I asked her to be my girlfriend and she said yes. We started dating and our love for each other skyrocketed too. We were the perfect couple. We wore matching outfits, did things together, gifted each other, and I tried as much as possible to make her always happy. I was earning very well, so gifting her expensive things was not an issue. She was a fashion queen, and I knew the kind of clothes, shoes, and bags she loved. Whenever I could, I would take her shopping to buy whatever she wanted because seeing her happy made me happy too. We dated for 1 year before she moved in with me, and after 2 years of dating, we got married. Aside from companionship, one of the reasons I asked my wife to move in with me while we were still dating was that I traveled a lot, and since my apartment was bigger and more comfortable than hers, it wouldn't be great for me to lock it up, travel, and still pay rent. After we got married, we didn't have any reason to move out because we weren't expecting to have kids anytime soon, and I already loved the neighborhood and the few friends I made in the neighborhood. They gave me a sense of belonging, and I didn't want to change that. While we were dating, my wife was also able to make friends with some of the neighbors, and the friendship even grew more potent after we got married. The first 3 years of our marriage were beautiful. We loved and treated each other with so much love and respect. On weekends, we would hold small get-together for the neighbors in our house, or any other neighbor's house, and we got along with everyone. Even though I traveled for different business trips, I never considered cheating on my wife. I always carried her picture in my wallet and in my car, which I did for several reasons. I didn't think my wife would cheat on me because I satisfied her in bed, provided everything she wanted, and treated her like a husband should treat his wife. Our lives were going on perfectly until one day. Everything I saw altered that day and destroyed the relationship my wife and I shared. I had traveled for a 4-day business trip, and when I returned, I noticed that my wife was acting a little edgy. She didn't go cold on me or anything, she acted edgy, and I suspected something was wrong. At first, I thought she had broken a family vase my father had passed down to me, but I checked, and the vase was still in perfect condition. To be sure of what was wrong, I checked the footage from her house security camera, and somehow, the footage of the last 4 days I had traveled for my business trip was missing. It was undeniable that she had deleted it, and that raised my suspicion. I didn't ask her about it because I knew she would try to convince me, so I quietly worked on recovering them. After I had successfully recovered the deleted files, I was shocked to see explicit videos between my wife and a new neighbor we just had. He has been visiting the house the past few days, and my wife and I received him warmly. The craziest part was that I didn't notice or suspect anything was happening between them. I just believed my wife was being lovely to him like she was to the other neighbors. And maybe if she did not give herself out, I would not have known they were having an affair. While I was away, they did it on our bed and even on the parlor couch, which made me very furious. I didn't feel heartbroken at that moment like most people would describe. I felt rage. I wanted to hurt her badly, but didn't want to do anything stupid. Before my trip, I planned a neighborhood barbecue to welcome this new neighbor who was cheating on me with my wife, and I thought of the perfect plan. As for my wife, she didn't know that I found out about her affair. I played along and acted like everything was fine. A couple of days later, we had the welcome party, and after a lot of eating and drinking, we were supposed to watch a good movie as neighbors. After everyone had gathered, I played them a movie, not the one they expected to see, but the kind of movie they would not stop talking about in a very long time. I played the videos of my wife and our new neighbor I had recovered, and everyone was shocked. My wife could not believe it, especially with the wide grin on my face. Her eyes nearly fell out of her socket when everyone turned in her direction, and the shame on her face was evident. Immediately, the new neighbor's girlfriend started yelling at her boyfriend, and when she couldn't take it anymore, she broke up with him on the spot. On the other hand, my wife cried her eyes out and turned to her neighborhood friends to help her beg me, but everyone was so disappointed that they shunned her and didn't say a word to her. After they had seen what I wanted them to see, I told them that the barbecue was over, so they all left. After everyone left, my wife cried and said, "It isn't what you think. Allow me to explain." Hearing that line made me so furious that I yelled at her and told her not to step into my house again. I also told her that I was already processing the divorce papers and that soon she would hear from my lawyer. I threw some of her stuff out and I shut the door. Honestly, humiliating her publicly pacified me a bit, but it was nothing compared to the heartbreak I felt. I loved her so much and envisioned spending the rest of my life with her. I didn't see her again after that day, and the new neighbor left too. I guess he took her with him because they knew they ruined their relationship with our neighbors. We eventually divorced, and I sincerely hope she has a miserable life. This happened to me 5 years ago, and although I have moved on, the thought of my present girlfriend cheating on me with another man still crawls up in my stomach to date. I try to find it as much as possible, but I know most women don't deserve genuine love. They are selfish and only think about themselves. Today's second story. In this story, Opie reflects on his 7-year relationship with his ex-wife. Despite no major disagreements, his wife becomes involved with a coworker, leading to fights and eventual divorce. Discovering her infidelity, he ends the marriage and reports their affair to their employer, resulting in their termination. Though hurt, he focuses on self-improvement and looks ahead to a brighter future. Now let's get into the story. I'm a 31-year-old guy, and I've been in a relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife, who's 28 for 7 years. We were married for 5 of those years. We both had jobs that made us think kids weren't in our plans, but we had so many other amazing plans for our future. Throughout the 7 years we were together, we never had any disagreements about the direction we wanted to take or the goals we had for our future. So, back in February, my wife started a meeting with this guy, her coworker, who's 38 years old. After her 2-week training, she came home and I noticed that she was chatting a lot with this guy. I've never been a jealous person and I understand that our industry is male-dominated, so she's often surrounded by guys. I always trusted her and never questioned her loyalty or boundaries. However, I couldn't help but notice that she was texting this guy a lot. In March, I brought it up twice, expressing my concerns, but she reassured me that he's just a friend and I shouldn't worry. They had common interests, like being Christians, and they chatted a lot about the Bible. I'm not religious. She even said that she would stop talking to him if I felt uncomfortable, but I knew they were going for training together again at the end of March. I realized it would be impossible to stop her from talking to him, so I didn't push the issue further. I always made sure to check in with my wife to see if she was happy in our marriage, or if there was anything I could do to improve things. I never received any negative feedback from her, and even as recently as mid-March, she was telling me that I was the best thing that ever happened to her. However, things took a turn when she left for a month of job training in a different location at the end of March. In the first few days, everything seemed normal between us, but as the week progressed, we started to fight a lot. I'll admit, some of it was my fault because I was going through some personal stuff and was feeling quite emotional, but there was something else bothering me too. She seemed distant and expressed some strange ideas about the future that didn't sound like her at all. This made me feel uneasy because we used to hardly ever argue about anything. I can't even remember the last time we had a big fight before April. It's been a confusing and challenging time for both of us. I felt really bad about arguing with her because I knew how important it was for her. The main issue we were fighting about was her not maintaining clear boundaries with this guy from work, and it was obvious to me that he was interested in her romantically. Then she brought up the need for space and time to think about our relationship and our future. She assured me that she still loved me, but things weren't the same anymore. I was confused, but I respected her request for space because I didn't fully understand what was going on. After a couple of days, she dropped the bombshell of divorce during a FaceTime conversation. It was devastating, and at that moment, I still didn't have a clear grasp of the situation. But deep down, I had a gut feeling that she might be leaving with this other guy. It's been a roller coaster of emotions and uncertainty for me. When she finally returned home in mid-May, I went to the airport to pick her up. As soon as I saw her, something felt off. She didn't even give me a hug after not seeing each other for a month and a half. When we got home, she didn't bother unpacking her luggage. That first night, she looked me in the eyes and told me directly that she wanted a divorce and that she no longer loved me. It was incredibly tough and hurtful, but I was still holding on to the hope that maybe our arguments and my emotional ups and downs had contributed to her feelings. So I tried to work things out. But the very next day, she started acting differently. She claimed she wanted to clean the house and create nice memories for the last couple of days before she left. I sensed something wasn't right, and I felt like she was hiding things from me. So for the first time in 7 years, I went through her phone. There, I discovered that even before she came back home, she was already in a relationship with that coworker guy, and they had even signed a lease to move in together. This was just a month and a half after she had left home at the end of March. She had told this guy that she was willing to give up everything to start anew with him. It was a devastating revelation, and it left me feeling even more hurt and confused. I still feel terrible to this day for going through her phone because it's something I had never done in our relationship before, and I felt like I had crossed a line. However, at that moment, I decided to take screenshots of her conversations with the coworker and acted like nothing happened, just to see how far she would go with all the lies she had been telling me. For the following days, I kept asking her questions about her and this coworker, but I never got any honest answers. Finally, that night when we were talking, I got really frustrated and angry, and I started pressing her for the truth. She turned it around and blamed me for my own issues, saying that's why we could never be together. Even during our heated arguments, she continued to lie. Eventually, she decided to leave that night, and as soon as she was gone, I sent her all the screenshots I had taken and told her that I already knew everything. I admitted that I was testing her to see how far she would go with her deception. She then claimed that they only started their relationship after she brought up divorce, so she argued that it wasn't cheating. She also said that she had been wanting out of the relationship for a long time, but was just waiting for the right moment because she perceived me as controlling and abusive. Seeing her leave and knowing it might be the last time I see her was one of the hardest moments in my life. I kept asking her to be honest with me and show some respect for our marriage until the very end. She had been an amazing wife for 7 years, and it's tough for me to understand how she could change so drastically in such a short period of time. I'm still left with a lot of confusion and questions. After she moved out, I didn't waste any time and hired a lawyer to file for divorce. She didn't want any of the belongings I got her, the house, the cars, or any financial support. She just wanted to end things. It's not a decision I wanted to make, but I couldn't risk her changing her mind, so I went ahead with the divorce process. I already have the signed paperwork back, so it's in progress now. It's been a tough journey, but I'm trying to stay strong and move forward. I wanted to make sure she learned a valuable lesson before I walked away for good. What she did was hurtful, and I was feeling really upset. So I decided to act without causing any harm to my own character. I gathered all the screenshots of her conversations with her coworker and put them into a PDF. Then I sent it to their boss. My hope was that this would help them understand the consequences of their actions and treat others with more respect in the future. And just like that, the both of them got fired from the company, a perfect way to start their love story. Even though I'm still hurt by her cheating, I didn't want to stoop to her level and ruin my own reputation in the process. It's been 2 months since she told me she wanted a divorce, and I'm happy to say that I'm doing a lot better now. My soon-to-be ex has been trying to contact me begging for mercy. She told me she's been having trouble being able to find a job since And the guy she moved in with is having second thoughts on breaking up with her since he lost his job because of her. If she thinks I will help her in any way, then she's absolutely nuts. During this time, I've been trying to focus on myself and work towards building a new life and becoming a better person. I understand that neither of us was perfect, nor our relationship had its flaws. But what hurt me the most was how quickly everything changed. In less than 2 months, she went from being in our marriage to being in a new relationship, and now living in a new relationship together with this person. It's been hard to grasp how all the memories we shared, the things we built together, and the plans we had for the future could seemingly vanish overnight because of someone new in her life. However, I've come to realize that dwelling on the past won't help me move forward. Instead, I want to focus on the positive aspects of my life and the opportunities that lie ahead. I'm learning to accept that some things are beyond my control, and I'm determined to create a bright future for myself. I believe that as time goes on, I'll heal and new adventures and joys will come my way.